Hello everyone and welcome to Vlogmas. Today is December the 1st and I'm going to be doing 7 prompts each week for you here on YouTube from Papa Squirrel's Vlogmas prompts. And I thought today that we would go ahead and decorate the tree while we're talking. I will be working with the Prisma Visions Tarot. This is a deck which I want to love, but that I just don't work with because it's very difficult on my eyes. In fact, I only know what the Fool card looks like because I read the book. And but it just, I love that it almost seems like twinkle lights the way that it is colored. And the art style and everything. And so every winter season I take it out trying to work with it and to see if I can't get a feel for it and enjoy it. So I always decorate my tree in these dove ornaments from Pier 1, which I guess you won't be able to get anymore because they closed all their stores. They might have them online. I doubt I get them anymore. They were gifts from my mother over the years, and I have more than enough to fill this entire tree now. So the first prompt for today is, what major arcana card reminds you of this time of year? And so that would be, for me, definitely the Hermit. And the Hermit is that card, you know, not just of solitude, but of bringing forth the light, right? And that's what I always think about this time of year, as it gets to be the darkest that it's going to be, and then the light comes back. And I feel like that's what this time of year is really about, bringing out that hope, that peace, the light forthward in the darkness. And so that's why I tend to decorate with doves and stars during this time of year. In fact, I have them all over my house when I choose to decorate. Some years I decorate more than others. This year I'm keeping it simple. I'm going to put this tree up here in our little daily Instagram reading space, as well as my home office. And I put some things on the mantle. So day 2 is which minor reminds you of the holidays. And so for me, that is the 6 of Chalices. This 6 of Chalices is actually a woman relaxing in some water. Typically, this card is about that idea of nostalgia. And so in the Smith Waite, you see a pair of people with flowers, and it seems like a childhood memory, perhaps. And that's how I've always seen that card. And so that's why I always associate it with this time of year, because it is a very nostalgic time of year. If you grew up in a home like I did, where it is celebrated and there's lots of activity. Prompt 3, your favorite card. Well, interestingly enough, my favorite card actually relates to this time of year as well, I feel like, and that's the Star. So in the tarot, the Star is the card that I always want to kind of be right in a deck. Obviously, this deck is interesting. Not one of my favorite Star cards, though. But I love that the Star is about hope and healing, and I feel like that's what's happening during this time of year for a lot of people, as they reconnect with others, as there seems to be a little bit more of that energy flowing among people. Prompt 4, least favorite card. So my least favorite card in the tarot is going to be the Ten of Swords. And not because it is that card of ruin, but because for me, I've always found it a difficult card to work with because I didn't feel like I really have felt like I had that moment in my life, right, where things just kind of fell apart, like everything was horrible and it just was not going to get any better. Um, but then I started looking at this card differently recently, and I looked at it as that point where things can only go up. And I feel like that's something I can relate to. Like that happens more frequently for me. Like things may be bad, but they can get better, right? They're not going to get any worse than they are. And I think by looking at it that way versus a tragedy, looking at it as, okay, things will not get any worse, it's a little easier for me to read with that card. Prompt 5, what are my divination challenges? So for me, my challenge with divination is always that patience thing. Like I love things to happen rapidly and for instant gratification kind of person. So it's very tough for me when I have to wait for answers, when I have to spend a lot of time on something versus throwing down some cards and finding the answer right away. 6 is what card best represents my spirituality currently? And for this, I chose the Chariot, which is the card of control and of direction. For me, that's where I am. And even when I draw cards about where I am currently in my reading, this card comes up because I think I am focused now and I have a direction and I know where I'm going and what I'm doing. And so I just have to maintain that steadfastness that comes from the Chariot to continue having things flow. The last prompt for this week, prompt 7, is going to be a favorite spread. So the spread that I turn to the most is a 4-card spread. It's based on the Eisenhower grid, which is a business model where you schedule your priorities. And so for me, that's always relevant in making decisions and assessing a situation. And so it basically will have on the top your most important things, and then going down your most urgent things. I'm going to post a image of that as well as a link to a version of that spread below so that you can see it. So it gives you the place where you want to start, that thing that's most important and that is most urgent. And then next to that's going to be that thing which is important. It's not necessarily urgent, but it is vital to get done. And then below it, you have your most urgent thing, but it's not necessarily important. Now, in business, that's something you would relegate to someone else. And then there's that last thing, which obviously it has to get done, but it's not important and it's not urgent. So it's going to be the last thing that you do. And I just love working with that spread. Anytime I have a question and I don't have a specific spread in mind, and I start pulling cards, I inevitably end up doing that grid more so than anything else. So that is the first 7 days of Vlogmas. I hope that you have enjoyed watching me decorate my tree. We will be back again next week for the next 7 days in Vlogmas, where we will begin pulling cards for various holiday-themed questions. Until next time, everyone, good journeys, and thank you for being here.